Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's me, Demon Prince Powie, and we have an interesting video for you guys today. So we're going to be ranking all of the Tzeentch units from the index. Now I was thinking about doing a tier list, but I thought ranking them from worst to best would be more fun. We've got to figure out who is the best, who is the worst, who is in mid. So we're going to do that. So before we push on with the video, just going to plug a few things again. As always, please like and subscribe as it helps support the channel. Always add a comment down below, even if it's just to say hi or whatever. And we do have a Facebook group if you're willing to join and say hello. And we have 2 chats in there at the moment, one with questions and answers and another about lists. So feel free to join that. Let's push on with the video. So at number 16, it is the Burning Chariot. Yeah, a bit lackluster for me. We'll go through the data card and everything, but it's just not that great, if I'm honest. Somebody has to be bottom, and unfortunately it's the Burning Chariot. We'll jump into the data card. Obviously he's quite quick. He's toughness 8. He has a 4-up invuln, 9 wounds and 3 OC. Like, that stat line's okay. My issue with it, he's 115 points and you can only have 1 of him. I think if you could have 2 in a unit, they'd be a lot higher up. I really do believe they'd be a lot higher up. Their weapons, they're okay. They're not great though, are they really? So we've got the Fire of Tzeentch, the blue fire, 18-inch range, which is nice, only 3 attacks, hitting on freeze, strength 10, minus 3 AP, 3 damage, which is nice. That's wasted against, because it's 3 damage, is wasted against low-level infantry that are 1 or 2 wounds. You're looking at elite Terminator things here, which then have a 4-up invuln. So chances are you're not even killing one, really. Yeah, a bit. It's okay. I mean, obviously dice are swingy either way, but you've got to look at it as the average, because that's all you can do the calculations on. That's all you can do. Obviously the pink fire is nice. 2d6 automatically hits on the torrent. Strength 5, minus 1 damage. Yeah, that's not too bad, but that's the equivalent of 2 flamers. You have 3 flamers for 75 points, so why not use that instead? I don't know, it's just the attacks are nothing to sniff at, to be fair. You got the flamers mouths, 6 attacks hitting on 4s, so 3 are going through. Strength 5, probably going against toughness 5, toughness 4, so 4s or 3s to wound. No AP, so that could be a 3, 4, or 2, 3 or 4 up save for 1 damage. It's just not going to do it. You're just not going to get through. The Screamer bites are going to be a bit better with 6 attacks. Again, hitting on 4s, 3 are going to go through on average. Strength 6, now you're wounding on 3s or potentially 4s. It's more likely 3s. Then they're going to be a 2, 5 or 6 up save, which is a bit better, killing a couple of models. But then they're going to clap you back, and I think you'll be tied up a little bit. But I just... And chances are you're going to have to tie something up, a key unit that isn't on an objective. Because if you're going to go in on an objective, your OC is only 3, so there's no point. You're just going to sit there and they're going to just keep scoring points. You can try and reduce it, but it's a blow for blow. Not going to work. I just don't think it's cool. And then we'll look at its ability, which is Eldritch Flames, which is a psychic ability. In your shooting phase, after this model has shot, select one enemy unit that was hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, that unit cannot have the benefit of cover. Cool. I mean, wow. Yeah, it's not that great, in my opinion. It's not that great. Obviously, you have other stuff that can shoot a bit better, but for me, he's poo-poo, and I'm not overly keen on him. I have used him. I use him in obviously fluffy lists when I'm playing mono Tzeentch or whatever. But nah, on his own, he's not worth it. 115 points, it's not worth it. For 230 points for 2 in 1 unit, like I said, which would be cool. Yes, I'd be more inclined to take it. Again, it's still quite expensive, but it's 2 units. It'd be 2 units at toughness 8. 18 wounds, 6 OC, which is nice. That's kind of nice. But nah, not for me. Not for me. Yeah, so at number 16, Burning Chariot. At number 15, it is the Changecaster. So this is what you're getting for 60 points. So he's movement 6, toughness 3. It's weak, man, and it's weak. 6 up regular save or a 4 up invuln. It's just a waste, isn't it? It's just a waste. 3 wounds, leadership 7 and 1 OC. He's obviously a leader. He can go into any of the horrors. Before we go into his weapons, we'll do his abilities more than anything. We'll go over his abilities. So he has the Changecaster ability. While this model is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have sustained 1. Hooray! It's not bad. Not bad for like a shooty-ish side of Daemons, I suppose. But it's only on pinks and blues, so potato. And then Storm of Mutating Sorcery, which is a psychic ability. In your shooting phase, after this model's shot, select one enemy infantry unit. By one or more of those attacks, that unit must take a battle shock test. That's not terrible. That's quite a nice little ability, because that could force them to take a battle shock test. They then drop to 0 OC. Then you can claim the objective. That's a good way to regain thing of the secondary, storm hostile objective, things like that. Or then you now control it to do cleanse. Little things like that will help you score points. So that is kind of nice. It's not the worst ability in the world, you know. It's okay. Then we get on to his ranged weapon, which is the Arcane Fireball. Excuse me, I'm not talking properly. Witchfire and Focus Witchfire. So we go with the regular Witchfire, 18-inch range, 3 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 5, -1 AP, D3 damage. That you put into your low-level infantry guys, infiltrators, intercessors. I'll use Space Marines as an example. Not quite immortals because they're toughness 5, I think. But things like that, you know, battle line units that are weakish, not elite infantry. Non-elite infantry is what I should say. And then obviously you can go the focus, but then you are going to take a hazardous test, which is a bit risky for this guy, because if you fail, he's dead. Well, potentially dead. It'd be D3, wouldn't it? But he could potentially be dead, so it's not good. So obviously same range, 3 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 6 this time. So and the AP's gone up as well to -2. Again, D3 damage, averaging 2 damage. So you're gonna do that to kill one model, but then potentially kill yourself if you fail. Bit risky. He does have dead wounds on there, I suppose, but. And then he has his melee weapon, which is a Herald combat weapon, which is also a psychic weapon. So it's 3 attacks, hitting on 4s. That's 1.5 going through. So 1 or 2 going through. Strength 4, -1 damage. Pish in combat. Don't really like it. I know it's 60 points, but I don't really like it. I mean, you could. It sounds silly now, but I wouldn't recommend this because you have other units in the index to do this. But you could use him and not put him in with the horrors. You could have him on his own and hide. Obviously, there'll be lots of line of sight blocking terrain. You could use him as a secondary scorer. Deploy teleport homers if you can. You'd have to hide him well. You have to hide him really well. Engage, just tick him in your own corner. Investigate signals, things like that. But then you are susceptible to assassination on the retrieval end. So you do have to be very careful. That's why I wouldn't highly recommend it. A lone operative will be much better at that than this guy. But unfortunately, I just don't see the value in adding him to a pink horror unit or a blue horror unit. The sustained hits ones is nice, but that means nothing if you're hitting on 4s or 3s. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. I'm not. If you're hitting on 2s, yeah, cool. Because then you don't lose anything in your shots. If you've got 20 shots and you're hitting on 2s, on average, with the ones you've got to roll is the same as the 6. So the sustained will come back, but no, 15 for me, not good enough. At number 4, feels like top of the pops this, doesn't it? At number 14, it's Fate Skimmer. I'm unsure about this guy. I really am. I was torn between him and the Changecaster on where to put. So I put him above just because I think he has a slightly better data sheet. Just slightly. Data card, should I say. So he's quick. He's movement 12. Toughness 7. 6 up save. I'm going to skip the saves because they've got him. 4 up in them. 9 wounds, 3 OC, leadership 7. Excuse me, what? He is also a leader, and he can be attached to Screamers, which is interesting, right? I think that's kind of cool. So let's have a look at his abilities. He has Fate Skimmer. While this model is leading a unit, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have the lethal hits ability. Yay! Is that good? Nah. Not really. I mean, Screamers are hitting on 4s anyway. That's shocking. That is absolutely shocking. What do they get? 3 attacks a piece? Let me just double check. I've got them here. Yeah, so 3 attacks a piece hitting on 4s. So 50% of your attacks going through, and a third of them are going to be lethals. Fine, but it's not great. It's not. It's 9 attacks. Half of them are going through. 4.5. Woo. You might get 2 lethals in there if you're lucky. 1 and a bit. It's not all that. You'd have to take a big blob of Screamers. Now it's 150 points of Screamers and 105 points for the Fate Skimmer. Did I get his points right? I think I got his points right. That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. You're looking at, what's that? 255 points. Not convinced. Considering, what's that? 6 OC, 9 OC. Nah. You might chip away a few, but I don't like it. Lethal hits on them. Not for me. I like the idea of it, obviously. I do like the idea of it, but Screamers don't hit that hard. They just really don't. That's not what they do. That's not what they're for. And then his second ability is Rider of the Immaterial Winds. This is kind of cool. It's only once per battle, which is the only downside. At the end of your opponent's turn, if this model unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, you can remove that unit from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. Nice. That is kind of cool, isn't it? That's another way of removing something off the board. And it doesn't say you have to bring it on straight away. You can wait. So that's kind of a cool ability. Obviously, if he is leading the Screamers, chances are you are going to be in engagement range. You're quick. They're going to want to shoot you and tie you down. So you don't be doing that. Again, you could probably use him on his own, start him off the board, pull him off, bring him off late game, turn 4, turn 5, to get you some late scoring. But that is 105 points. That is probably a nice little tactic you could do with him, because it doesn't say you have to bring him on the next turn in that Rider of Material Winds. So that could be a potential little tactic for your late game when the armies are dwindled down a bit. So that is the only good thing I could see from him, is using that one trick. That's it. Let's go through his ranged weapons again. Obviously, we've got the Arcane Fireball, Witchfire, 18-inch range, 3 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 5, -1 AP, D3 damage. Again, you're not doing much. You're really not. And then obviously focused, same as the Changecaster by the looks of it. It looks like it's a Changecaster on top, isn't it? A Herald on top. It has devastating wounds, 18-inch range, hitting 3 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 6, -2 AP. Again, D3 damage, averaging 2, a little bit better, but you're not doing it. You can only pick one of them. You can't fire both. So it's a bit lackluster for me. Then the attacks. The Herald combat weapon, 3 attacks hitting on 4s. It needs to be hitting on 3s. He's a character. Should be doing better. Strength 4, -1 damage. The Screamer Bites is obviously cool. I do like the Screamer Bites, even though they're only hitting on 4s. 6 attacks hitting on 4s, 3 are going through. Strength 6, again, wounded on 3s potentially. -2, 2 damage. You could chip 2 to 3 models off if you get lucky. So that's fine. But yeah, the only thing I'd be using him for is to score some form of secondaries, keep him off the board, then bring him on. That'd be it. That's the only thing I'll use him for, and that's why he's this far low. I just don't see the point in putting him in with the Screamers. It's not what Screamers do anymore. They really don't do that well. They're scory units. They're not killy units. That's just not what they do, and I think it's a bit of a waste. So he is at number 14. At number 13, we have the Exalted Flamer. Don't lynch me. Don't lynch me. Somebody has to finish in this order, and it is just my opinion. Now, he's not terrible. If this was a tier ranking, he'd be C. If this was a tier list, it'd be C. But I've put him here because you don't need a leader with the Flamers. Not really. You don't really need to have it. They don't need a leader. Don't get me wrong. It's nice for the assault. Let's go through the card. He's movement 9, toughness 4, 4 up in bun, 6 wounds. That's okay. Leadership 7, 1 OC. The OC's pish again. It's just pish. Again, he has 2 ranged weapons, but you can only use one of them. You have your 18-inch range, 3 attacks, hit on 3, strength 9, minus 3 AP, 3 damage, same as the Burning Chariot. You might get lucky at chipping away one Terminator. Probably not. And then you've got the Pink Fire, which is the Torrent, which is the nice 2d6 at 12 inches. Strength 5, minus 1 AP, 1 damage. Now, you're often, when you do use him and there's a leader, you're going to deep strike him within 3 inches with the Flamer unit and burn whatever's there. And then when they come to deal with you, you overwatch, obviously. Well, even if they remain, they have to select them to remain stationary. So when that happens, you can go, overwatch. Thank you. So 2 big blasts. That's cool. But you don't need him to do that. You can just do that with the Flamer unit. And then obviously he's got 4 attacks hitting on 4, so 2 are going through. Strength 5, no AP, 1 damage. Again, the character should have at least 1 AP. It's just weird. I know they're not melee, but he's the guy, right? Let's have a look at his abilities. So he has Blazing Warp Fire, does sound cool, doesn't it? So while this model is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the assault ability. Right. Now, most people, when they play Demons, they have Flamers off the board for the reason I say, to bring them on within 3 and burn the backfield light objective holders normally, or burn that first wave of infantry, whatever, to get rid of them. The only reason you'd have them is so you could advance, still shoot, but it's also to be able to do actions. So we're looking at Cleanse, Deploy Teleport Homer again, Investigate Signal, Never Actions, not Area Denial's not an action. I think that's it. There's not many, but that's what you use it for, to assault, get across, to do it. So you're still eligible to shoot, right? That's why you'd pick him to give the assault keyword. And then his second ability is Flames of Change. I like the idea of this, but it's a bit weird. In your shooting phase, after this model has shot, select 1 enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Roll a d6 on a 4-up. So you have to roll for it, man. So you get 50-50 chance. Until the end of the opponent's next turn, that enemy unit is a flame. While a unit is a flame, subtract 2 from its move characteristic and subtract 2 from its advance and charge rolls made for it. That's not bad. That's pretty cool. I do like that, but then you have to roll for it. So it's a 50-50 chance of reducing their movement, advance and charge rolls. So there is a method there. So obviously you could deep strike within, have everything 11 inches away so it can shoot. You roll the d4, let's say you get it. Units of flame, they've got to move, let's say they move 6 inches, they can only move 4. So now you're from 11, I've got to use my fingers here, 11, 1, 2, they're down to 7 inches away. So they need a 7-inch charge, but then they've got to take 2 away from it. So if they roll an 8, they fail, they'll need a 9. They'll need a 9 or higher. So, not terrible, but it is a bit. It's, what is he, 65 points to put into a 7-point. I can see the benefits of having him in your list. I really do. Just not always. You don't always need that. Points need to go elsewhere. Again, Mono Tzeentch, I'd probably recommend putting him in. But when you look at the index as a whole, that's why he's down where he is, because you can have him and you can't have him. You're not going to be hindered by not having his benefits, if you know what I mean. It's a cool little buff if it's there, if it works, but if it's not there, it's not a big loss. So that's why he is where he is. At number 12, it's the Screamers. Got a hair in my mouth. So I've got a husky, so dog hair everywhere. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, these guys, they're like Marmite, I think. I don't know if the Americans will know what Marmite is, actually. It's their slogan for years, you either love it or hate it. And I think that's the same thing with these guys. You either love them or you hate them. So they're movement 14, toughness 4, 4 up inven, 3 wounds apiece, 1 OC. You ain't contested nothing, really. Their attacks, again, 3 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 6, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. Now that's nice, bar the hitting on 4s. It's 9 attacks, 4.5 go through, so let's call it 4. Wounding on 3s, down to 3, maybe 2. 2 and a bit. You could call it 3, and then they're going to get a save. So you could kill 2 models. Ooh. It's just, attack-wise, it's not what they do. It's not what they do. They're 75 points for 3 of them, right? But it's not what they do. The slash and dive, again, is cool, but then it's making you take them in 6s for this. So in your movement phase, after this unit ends a normal move, you can select one enemy unit it moved over during that move and roll a d6 for each model in this unit. So it'll either be 3 or 6, unless you've been depleted. For each 4 up, that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. Should be D3 mortal wounds, in my opinion. Should be D3. But hey ho, for a mortal wound, that's like nothing. It's, on a 4 up, you got 3 of them. Again, you're getting 1.5. That's for 1 mortal wound. It's just not worth it. If it's 3 of them, you're averaging 3 mortal wounds. Okay, now that's killing a Terminator. Unless I got Feel No Pain. That's killing a Terminator. Or close to killing a Terminator. Or a 4 wound model. Close to killing it off. But then that's a 150 point unit. You've flown over it. Yeah, that's not what they do. It's not what they do. For me, they're to score. They're quick. They can get to the half board. So you can advance them and get them up to do engage. You can get them just to hold the first objective, first turn, to do cleanse, maybe. As a first wave to tie something up. Yeah? It's not what they do. It's just not. They're just not They're not potent enough. They're just not. Again, they can move around the board really fast to score you secondaries if you're going tactical, even if you're going fixed. They're really fast at doing that, and that's what for me. That's what they're for. They're for that first and second turn to get you quick secondary scoring points as best as you can, depending on what you draw. But again, that's look of the draw. If you're going fixed, obviously you know what you want to achieve, and when you go fixed, you build your list around not only killing, but also around the secondaries that you have selected. They're okay. They're not terrible, but they're not great. Obviously, in mono Tzeentch lists, they're getting picked. When I'm not going mono, I don't pick them. I just don't. There'll be cases where I'll go, yeah, I'm going to try them out instead of Flamers, for example, but I don't really select them for my playstyle. I think there's other stuff that does stuff in the index better, but we are ranking Tzeentch units here. And for me, they just fall a bit short. They're just secondary scorers. They're not melee killers. So, yeah, that's why they are where they are. Right, I might split the fan base now. But at number 11, it is the Pink Horrors. Yeah, I know. Too expensive, I think. 140 points. They should have come down in the data slate. In my professional opinion, in my opinion, they should have come down. Now, let's go through the data card. So their movement 6, toughness 3, 4 up inven, again, nice. 1 wound, 2 OC. Okay. Their shooting attack is 18 inches. They have 2 shots each, so you have 20 in a full mana 10. Hitting on 3s. Strength 4. Apologies if you can hear the lad. Strength 4. Minus 1 AP, which is nice, 1 damage. Nothing to stiff your nose at. Again, it's not a bad weapon. It really isn't. Let me just close the door. Sorry. Pause. Oh, he's just opened it, the little bugger. Never mind. We'll have to just deal with him for a minute. So, yeah, the gun's not great. And then the melee weapon is nothing they can't fight. They have 1 attack each, hitting on 4s. Strength 3, 0 AP, 1 damage. It's just not going to be good enough in melee. Now you're going to go, Aaron, but their ability to split. Okay. Each time a pink horror or blue horror model in this unit is destroyed after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks. If this unit is not destroyed, roll 1d6 for that model on a 4-up. 2 blues come out. What lets this down is you have to wait for the attacking unit to finish. You're only going to be shot at if they have a good chance, I'd say a 50% upwards chance of clearing your unit. And that's happened to me. On every time I played them, I've gone, right, I'm going to put them in, I'm going to just sit them on the backfield, or I'm going to push to the closest objective, sit on it, just keep cleansing it, or whatever, just to contest it, just to whatever with them, right? I thought they get cleared, bang, bye, see you later. They're just done, because your opponent is not going to waste time shooting them. They'll let you sit on there, unless they can get a strong melee unit in to wipe you. They're not going to risk you splitting and still have an OC. They might have to take that risk later on in the game, but I think you get cleared. They could put 2 units in and get you done. It's just... I've not had the best of luck with them. That's why I don't like them. That's just my opinion. It's just the way it's happened to me. Your metas might be different where you are. You might be going, they are quality for me. They are so, so good. I get that, I really do, but I can only judge it on what my experience is and what I'm looking at and how things play out. And for me, they always fall short of my expectations, and it's 140 points. They should be on the same, they should be 120 points, and the blue horror should be even cheaper. But that's a whole other kettle of fish, isn't it? You can give them an extra leadership and an extra one to the charge roll. Now, there is a flip side to this if they don't get destroyed. If they don't get destroyed, you have the potential to bring the pinks back if they're in the Shadow of Chaos, because they're a battle line unit. So you can bring D3 pinks back every single time. That's awesome if you're in the Shadow of Chaos and you're not cleared. But like I said, your opponent is not gonna bother with you if they don't think they can clear you. It's the same thing with the Beast of Nurgle. If they go, I've not really got a good chance of clearing that Beast of Nurgle, they're going to leave it. They might take a risk just because they don't want to waste shooting. Your opponent's not going to want to waste shooting. Why would they target that unit when they can clear your rubbish screamers or flamers or other stuff? Blue horrors, which are more potent, which are better in my opinion. They're just better. They'll clear them first. They'll try and get rid of them rather than wasting their time on the pinks. So that's where they are. I know it's a bit controversial. I think it potentially a bit controversial. Some of you are going to agree with me and some of you are going to disagree. But that is where I have placed them. At number 10, it's the Flux Master. I don't know what this was. Oh, God. It's the Flux Master. Okay. So, he's on a disc, isn't he? So, he's movement 12. Very, very fast. Oh, God, I don't know his points. 60 points, I had to check. So he's 60 points. So he's movement 12, so he's rapid. Toughness 4, 4 up in burn, 4 wounds, leadership 7, 1 OC. I think he's got the same stat line as the Change Caster. Yeah, ranged and weapons, so that's what his speed is why he's up there, because he's very, very quick. And he's a leader. And he can go into the horrors. Nice. So what does he give to these horrors? So the Flux Master ability is called Flux Master. That's just tripped my brain. They could have called that something else, couldn't they? While this model is leading a unit, each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. I like that. I prefer that to the sustained hits. -1 to hit. Cool. Yeah, so that could be good for putting on the pinks if you want them on the backfield. -1 to hit. Now, they're more survivable, right? This is why he's better, because he's buffing them, you know. This is why he's better. And even with the blues, put them in the blues, -1 to hit. Now it's getting risky trying to clear those blues. I like that. I prefer -1 to hit to the sustained and the change caster, so it is what it is. Altered Reality, which is a psychic ability. Once per battle round, after a hit roll or a rune roll or a saving throw for this is made for this model, you can change the result of that roll to a 6. That's kind of cool. That means you can guarantee a wound. And if you look at Arcane Fireball, it's a guaranteed dev wound every single time. That's kind of awesome. Guaranteed dev wound. That means they don't get a save. So you got a chance at killing a Terminator with him. You just got to hit on the 3, cool. And then I'll make a wound roll and I'll change it to a 6. Cheers. It's dev wound. I think that's kind of cool. That is a kind of a cool little bit of ability. That's a way of chipping away at these elite infantry units if needed. And obviously his Herald Combat Weapon, not going to do much for that. 3 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 4, -1 AP, 1 damage. So yeah, obviously he's the better leader for the horrors in my opinion. He's quite quick as well, so if you do break away, so if they do kill all the horror unit and he breaks away and he survives, you can bugger him off. 12-inch movement. They could have to shoot and chase you. Chances are they're probably going to get you, but you could maybe get some line of sight blocking, try and hide him. Yeah, that's why he's at number 10. And at number 9, Blue Horrors. Now, they're 125 points. Expensive. They should be 100. Let's not complain. Now, I'm going to go on a tangent a little bit. The reason the horrors haven't come down in the date slate, and it is frustrating as a demon player, it's very frustrating. Like, why didn't they come down? It's because the Thousand Suns players are picking them. They're picking these 2 horror units and the Changeling and the Blue Scribes. They're picking those to put into their armies, and because Thousand Suns are performing well and they're normally in their lists, that's why they've not come down in points. So we as demon players, are getting punished because of the Demonic Alliance. So it's something we have to wear. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Let's push on. So their movement 6, toughness 3, 4 up invuln, 1 wound, 1 OC. Okay. They have the blue flames, so they have 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 3. It's nothing. They ain't doing nothing. -1, 1 damage. They'll get lucky against like Imperial Guard infantry, for example. Kroots from Tau, I think some of them are toughness 3. I may be wrong there though. But even then, that's 4s to wound. You're looking at 4s, 5s to wound. It's not good enough, really, is it? But that's not what they're there for. It's not. So, shall we have a look at their abilities? What's key here, from what the Pink Horrors don't have, is they have the Infiltrator keyword. Not keyword, be the ability, core ability, Infiltrator. They can be put anywhere on the board, as long as they're 9 inches away from enemy units and the enemy deployment zone. You could put them in the middle for contesting an early objective for cleanse, or maybe try and get area denial. You can put them in a flank. That way, when you start the game, you've already got engaged on all fronts. You know? So cool. And I love that we only have Nurglings to really infiltrate it. But these have OC, so these can sit on an objective, hold it, and go, yep, we've got it. We're going to cleanse it. You've got to kill me. And if you have a Flux Master in there with them, they're -1 to hit now. So now they're even more annoying. So obviously they also have the split ability. Again, you wait till the attacking unit's finished, and then you can bring Brimstone Holds on as a 4+, only 1, not 2. Cackling Horrors, which is an aura. I like this as well. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this unit, if this unit contains 1 or more blue horror models, subtract 1 from that enemy unit's leadership. Now that ties into the Shadow of Chaos. If you've got the Shadow of Chaos and reducing their leadership, when they take their Battle Shock test and they fail, it's D3 mortal wounds. So it coincides as well with gaining Shadow of Chaos, which they're going to try and do because they're infiltrators, so you've got it early so you can bring stuff in. Yeah, they're better than the Pinks from a scoring perspective. Not a resilience perspective. Excuse me. And then Exploding Horrors. This is just fluffy, and I like this. This is just fluff. But each time this unit is selected to fight, you can select one enemy unit with engagement range of it, then select one or more Brimstone Horrors models in that unit. For each Brimstone model you select, roll a d6. On a 4-up, that model is destroyed and the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Now, I had a thing early in 10th edition where, what was I fighting? It was something ridiculous, something, and I just found it funny. It weren't a Silent King, but something to that level. It was something big, Necrony. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to blow up. And I think I ended up killing the unit because it was mortal wounds. It's just really, real fluff. It's really, really fluffy and funny. I'm not saying it's going to pay off, but it is a little bit funny. At number 8, it is the Flamers of Tzeentch. Now, let's have a look at their data card. Their movement 9, toughness 4, 4 up in bun, 3 wounds apiece, and only 1 OC. They're 75 points for the unit. Normally you take them in units of 6 for 150 points. And then let's take a look at their ranged weapon, which is Flickering Flames. It ignores cover, it's psychic, and it's torrent. D6 attacks each, so it automatically hits once you've rolled. Nice. Strength 4, minus 1 AP, 1 damage. I like it. I like it's got 1 AP. You can use the stratagem to increase the AP if needed as well. And then obviously Flame of Mouths. It's okay. They've got 3 attacks each. Again, hitting on 4s. Strength 4. No AP, 1 damage. So if you do get charged, you can kind of clap a little bit back. At least you've got something to go back on, you know. It's not terrible. Obviously, they're Deep Strike. But their ability, Bounding Leaps. This unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back. So if you do get charged, you can fall back. Continue to shoot. So the thing is with these guys is obviously the Overwatch spam. So what I do with these guys is I look to deep strike them in and pick the point on the board, which is normally the backfield objective. Or it could be they've made a early grab for an objective that I need that side of the board. Otherwise I'd leave it and then come round. But I'd look at the weak points and go, right, they're holding that. Or is there a key unit being moved? Is there a key piece on my opponent? Are they moving it to score, as in secondary wise? And I'd go, right, Flamers have got to drop. Flamers drop in, and I'll use the stratagem to drop within 3 inches. Not saying I'm going to be 3 inches away, of course I'm not. I'm going to drop in, flame them, as you do. And then when it's their turn, if they move, or even if they do whatever, they'll get overwatched. They'll get overwatched. And chances are, you're probably going to clear them in just that scenario, because you're not going to go into elite stuff, are you? I mean, you might be forced to at some point in the game, but this is just to clear the light infantry, and they're very, very good at it. And I find that they're very, very good at also scoring points, because their bases and their models are quite small. I have one here. I'll grab one. They're quite. I'll put that in my hand. You can see they're quite small, and they'll be easy to hide. They'll be easy to hide, so line of sight isn't a problem. There should be plenty of line of sight blocking terrain, should I say? Yeah, I do like them. I prefer them over Screamers just because of the flaming ability, because they're actually doing some work as well as scoring points, and they're the same amount of wounds and toughness. So to me, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. I believe Thousand Suns players are also picking these as well. I'm not saying they're taking the 6-man. They could be taking a 3-man just, again, for scoring, because they can score and they can flame. So these could have effectively do capture enemy outpost, clear a unit, and then when it's your turn again, they're scoring that, potentially scoring that objective as well. Behind enemy lines, deploy teleport homers if needed, you know. So you can fall back and still do an action. So, time up. Well, I'll fall back, and then I'm still going to do deploy teleport homers. You have to kill me. So I do really like them, and they're one of my favourite units. They were in 9th as well, but they're one of my favourite units. And that's why they're 8th. Yes, they're 8th. I nearly said a different number. At number 7 is Carrios Fate Weaver. He was going to go in at 8th. Yeah. Again, this area of the score, the ranking chart is where I'm going to split a lot of you now. I'm going to split a lot of you, and I get that. I do understand that. At the minute, I feel I could potentially just put the Flamers the wrong way around here. He should possibly be 8th, but I'm going to stick with my guns. So, he's movement 12, toughness 10, 4 up in run, 20 wounds, 6 up leadership, and a 5 OC. So he can kind of be forceful on 2 objectives. Then his range weapons, Infernal Gateway. So this is where he's kind of good. So it's blast and it's indirect fire. So his regular one is 24 inches, d6 plus 3. Then you got blast on top of that. Hitting on 2s, strength 9, minus 2 AP, d3 damage. That's a nice bit of shooting. That is a nice bit of shooting. It really is. You can odd risk chasing elite infantry on that. I really would. I'd just risk it for a chocolate biscuit, 100%. And then obviously his focus, which is hazardous, exactly the same thing as hazardous, but it's D3 plus 6 this time. So minimum 7 hitting on 2s. Most of them probably 6 go through. Strength 9, minus 3 AP this time, so the AP's gone up by 1 to D3 damage. It's a good bit of shooting, and it's indirect fire. If you're firing indirect, it'll obviously be hitting on 3s. So you could hide him behind a ruin and just go like some psychic artillery, which is kind of cool, and chipping away at these low wound infantry models. Even beasts as well. I use infantry as an example. You know what I mean. And then you can go after things like Terminators and Aggressors as well with this guy, so he can stay out of the way and still pop off, which is kind of cool. And then he's got his melee weapon, which is the Staff of Tomorrow. That just sounds cool. 5 attacks hitting on 3, strength 8, minus 2 AP, 2d3 damage. I like that. I know that's kind of swingy, but averages 4 damage a pop. Cool. He's going to be chipping away. He's not terrible. What is he? 270 points. Yeah. Still a bit expensive. I mean, that's not bad, right? That's not bad, and I get it. But then you got his abilities. One head looks forward, which is an aura. So each time you target a friendly Tzeentch demonic unit within 6 inches of this model with a stratagem, roll 1d6. If the result is greater than the current battle round, you regain a CP. Cool. So remember, if you're doing that, you actually regain it. But then if you're playing tactical and you burn one at the end of the turn, you don't regain another CP. So I know that doesn't really matter, but if you're CP horde, then yeah, it kind of does. But yeah, and it's an okay ability. I mean, it means you can do Realms of Chaos for free, but you're only pulling off Tzeentch stuff. So you could start your Flamers on the board, for example, and then pull them off. They have to come on back in next turn, obviously, with Realms of Chaos. But it's a way to get them off the board, so you can have other stuff off the board as well. Cool, yeah. One head looks back. Once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, this model can use this ability. If it does until the end of the battle, each time your opponent uses that stratagem, increase its costs to your opponent by 1 CP. Now, this was awesome until the data slate changed the format. It can only select battle tactic stratagems. So now that's kind of redundant. Now you're looking at 2 or 3 stratagems in your opponent's list, 1 or 2, and then you have the regular ones that everyone has access to. Not all that. It was better when you could do it to all of them. Now it's going to cost you 2 to do that, because it's a good stratagem. So it's kind of ruined it a little bit for me. It's just not as good anymore. Obviously, he degrades when he gets 7 wounds with his -1 to hit. Oh, come on, PC. Yeah. So, even what's cool though, even if you do get degraded, you can't minus indirect fire anymore. So you can just indirect fire at 3s anyway. So that's fine. You're not going to get hindered for that. He should be better. I'm okay with it. I am okay with it. I just think he should be cheaper than the buffed up Lord of Change, you know? He should be 250 in my eyes. He should be 250. A bit more than a Great and Clean one, but still good enough, you know? So he's 7th in the list. He's very, very swingy. Some of you are going to go, what? He should be number 2, number 3. Some people will go, no, he should be in the bottom half of the segment. But he's 7th for me. He is 7th because there's still a case to take him in your list because that is quite potent shooting. At number 6, it's the Demon Prince of Chaos with wings. I don't know why I read of Chaos. You know it's from Chaos. Idiot. I'm the Demon Prince. Demon Prince Powie man. Yeah, I like the winged one because it's more melee. I like the melee output. But I feel Tzeentch is more shooty. So your Infernal Cannon will go to 6 attacks hitting on 2s, strength 5, -1 AP, 2 damage. What would be better is if, and again, this is just what ifs. I feel that if you go with Tzeentch, the attacks go up, but the AP should go up by 1. So it'd be nice. It would be nice, but obviously they're not going to do that. But 195 points, 6 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. It's chipping away again against regular infantry. Yeah, that's what you're going to be looking at. Melee weapons are pretty good, to be fair. His strike, 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 8, -2 AP, 3 damage. Can kind of go toe to toe with some Terminators there. His sweep again, infantry clearers. This is 14 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, no AP. We do have the stratagem to increase if needed, and 1 damage. Yeah, it's okay. The sweep's okay. The sweep's again for low level infantry, which is what you should be targeting anyway with this guy. Yeah, not terrible. He's quick because he can fly. He has a 2-up save and a 4-up invuln, so you get the benefit of cover. Could be a 3-up save, so you're looking at a 2, 3, or 4-up save effectively, which is kind of cool, and that's kind of what you want. And it's a highish toughness as well, and 10 wounds. I like it. And his abilities, they're more corny and Slaneshi, but Malefic Destruction, once per battle, you can basically in the fight phase get 3 extra attacks if needed. So if you are going into some Terminators, 9 attacks hitting on 2, strength 8, -2 to potentially -3, which you wouldn't need to do anyway. 3 damage each, could pop them off. And then Harbinger of Death. Each time this model is selected to fight, select the following ability: lethal hits, precision, or sustained. Now I like this because you can go character hunted if needed. If you've pulled Assassination, he's fast enough to chase down a leader, and he's good to get it. And then lethals or precision. I prefer lethals. If you're going against something with a high toughness, use the lethals, try and get in, try and clear it. I do like the Demon Princes. I do like all the Demon Princes. But for a Tzeentch perspective, this isn't as good as the non-winged. But he's good enough. He's good enough, and I do recommend you start selecting the Demon Princes in your lists more and more. And for me, he is number 6. We're down to the final 5, and at number 5, it is the Soul Grinder, baby. 190 points. Let's go through the data card. Movement 8, toughness 11, a 3-up save, and a 4-up invuln. Nice, that is nice. 14 wounds, 7 leadership, and 5 OC, so you can still be contending to get on those objectives. We'll go through the weapons in a moment. I'm just going to run through the abilities. Scuttling Walker, because he has the Walker keyword. Each time this model makes a normal or advanced move, it can move over friendly monster and vehicle models and terrain features that are 4 inches or less in height as if they were not there. I like that. So normally you can't move over vehicles and monsters if you're a vehicle or monster, but he can. he can do it. He can go over them. Your own friendly stuff, which is nice. So he can climb over Be'lakor. He can climb over Scarbrand. He can climb over Chariots. So he basically go through, you know. So, yeah, as if they were not there. So that's cool. And the terrain features as well. So it is kind of cool. And I do like that. It's to get him, rather than going round, he can go over. Beautiful. It's what we like. I like stuff like that. So he's not going to be hindered too much by line of sight blocking. Obviously, the big stuff has got to go round. Okay. So let's move on to his weapons. He's obviously going to be equipped with the Harvester Cannon. 36-inch range, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 10, -1 AP, 3 damage. For me, this gun's swingy. It can be really good, it can be really bad, or it can be average. There's no middle ground. It's either one of those 3 things. It's either, yeah, I have a look. Again, I used the Marmite expression earlier. I have the same thing with this guy. I have such a Marmite relationship with him. Like, if my models were alive, one game he'd be a very good boy, the next game he'll be a very rubbish boy. But he's good at tying things up because he's so tough and has a lot of wounds. So I am always inclined to bring one. I don't always bring one, but I am always inclined to go, should I bring a Soul Grinder? Yeah, go on then. Nah, it's okay, I won't. But he is very, very solid. And then if you go with a Soul Grinder as Tzeentch, he gets Warp Gaze. It's only D3 shots. You do have Blast in that, so you could get more effectively. Hitting on 3s, strength 12, -2 AP, D6 plus 2 damage. Minimum 3, maximum 8 damage. So you're looking at what, 4 or 5 as an average. It's a decent shooting weapon. It is a decent shooting weapon. I wish it would just be flat 3 attacks. Unfortunately not. Fine. It is what it is. But yeah, I do like the Warp Gaze. I do think the Slaanesh Screamer Despair is better. But that's not to say Warp Gaze is good. And he will have the Tzeentch keyword, so he can potentially get buffed, I think, by the Lord of Change. I'm not sure. But yeah, he's solid. He's good at tying things up. He's good at contesting objectives with 5 OC. Obviously, you've got to be aware of Bring It Down. But he's a threat. He is a threat. And the guns are nothing to moan at. So he's at number 5. At number 4, I don't know what way I did it. At number 4, it is the Changeling. Like I said earlier in the video, this top 5, 10, whatever, I'm going to end up splitting a lot of you. Like, what? For 90 points, you can get this guy. Okay. Movement 6, toughness 3, 5 wounds, 4 up and burn, 1 OC. He's not going to be going on objectives. That's not his bag. That's not what he's going to do. He has Infernal Flames. You can only pick one because it's Witchfire. So they both ignore cover. They're Psychic and they're Torrent. So it's Flamer. So it's D6 automatically hitting. Strength 6, -1 AP, 1 damage. It's kind of fiery, right? It's kind of better than an actual Flamer, an individual Flamer. But, or you can go Focused, which is D6 plus 3. Strength 6, -1 AP, D3 damage. Kind of nice, averaging 2s on that. So that's not bad. His melee weapon, the Trickster's Staff, again, Psychic. 3 attacks hit on 4s. Strength 4, -1 AP, D3 damage. It's not going to really do much. But the key thing he's got is Lone Operative and Stealth. So he's always -1 to hit. He can't be targeted till you're within 12 inches anyway, and even when you are, it's -1 to hit. But then let's look at his abilities, and I just think these are so fluffy and cool, but we'll go through them. Formless Horror. Each time an enemy unit wishes to select this model as the target of an attack, that unit must first take a Battle Shock test. Lovely. If that test is failed, in addition to being Battle Shocked, that enemy unit cannot target this model this phase. So you've got to take a Battle Shock test. You're now Battle Shocked. Select someone else, please. If they're in the Shadow of Chaos, they're going to take D3 mortal wounds. So it's risky shooting this guy. I just think that's so fluffy and cool. Yeah, and it coincides. It's just it fits with the Shadow of Chaos. It just fits. So it's like you work hard to get down to this lone operative. Oh, I've got to take a battle shot test. Okay. Failed. Right, I can't target it now. D3, yeah, and then D3 mortal wounds. So they're potentially losing a model, which is kind of funny. And then his second ability is Mischief and Confusion. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12 inches and visible to this model and roll 1d6. On a 2 to a 5 until the end of the phase, each time a model in that enemy unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. You've already got stealth. But if they've managed to get a +1, you can then take it back down. Subtract 1 from the hit roll. On a 6, which I love, and I know it's rare, that enemy unit is not eligible to shoot at all this phase. So the previous one, they'd have to target something else. With this, you can't shoot at all. You cannot shoot at all. Done. Not always going to pay off, but I like it. It's a way of getting, let's say, 2 units are shooting at you. You could get one to get a -1 to hit back in. You've already got it, but in there because of the stealth. And then another one is force a battle shock, and they have to shoot something else. So if there's one unit on you, you can use. You obviously use the Mischief and Confusion first, because that does say at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. And then the Formless Horror is each time an enemy unit wishes to select this model as a target. So you let's say one unit comes in, you'll use your Mischief and Confusion, start of the shooting phase, roll it. Let's say you roll a 2 to a 5, you're -1 to hit. So now -1 to hit is instilled in that unit that's come in. They go to shoot you. You then do the Formless Horror. They fail their battle shock test. They have to shoot something else, and now whatever they're targeting is at -1 to hit. So it is kind of cool. So you probably stack them onto one unit. Thousand Suns are picking him. Sorry, I can just hear the lad having a whale of a time in his bedroom. Thousand Suns players are picking him because of the lone operative as well. He can get in. You can deep strike him within 3 for us. So he can go anywhere on the board. Good at secondary scoring, behind enemy lines, deploy teleport homer, and then obviously you're inviting pressure to get shot at. Well, you got to come to me. Come to me then. Investigate signal. If you're going for a gambit, and whack him in a corner. That's why he's 90 points, because the scoring potential for him is insane. It's actually insane. I've played a game against Tyranids. I lost the game, but on his own, he got me 18 victory points. I think I only got 50. He got me 18 on his own because he was getting deployed teleport homer and he was holding an objective. They didn't come to deal with him. They just went, I'll have to leave him. Because they couldn't get close enough to shoot. There was other stuff on the board. It's like, okay, cool. Because the board ended up getting stretched thin, and then that's where he's good, because you can just pop him in a corner, and he's getting deployed teleport homers if they're leaving space. If your opponent leaves space, exploit it, and that's what you do with this guy. Very, very underrated. Yeah, and that's why he's at number 4. At number 3, Blue Scribes. It was a toss-up between him and the Changeling for this position, if I'm being brutally honest. But the Blue Scribes, 75 points, so he's cheaper. Easier to get into your lists. Again, Thousand Suns players are picking this guy. So he's movement 12, toughness 4, 6 wounds, 4 up invuln, 8 up leadership, but ignore that. 2 OC, so his OC is a bit better as well. His melee weapon, he has no range weapon. His melee weapon is Sharp Quills, which is anti-Psyker 2+. That's kind of funny. Wounding on 2s against Psyker units. That's kind of funny. So 4 attacks, hitting on 5s. So if you do manage to get a few in, you're wounding on 2s against Psyker units. No AP, 1 damage. It's not great. It's funny and fluffy, but it's not great. It's not. But that's not what he's here for. He also has lone operative. So you need to be within 12 inches to target him. Cool. I'm going to butcher these ability names, but I'm going to attempt them anyway. So Jesus, I can't say that. His first one is Patalix's Sorcerer's Siphon, which is an aura. While an enemy unit is within 12 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes a psychic attack, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So this guy really is to disrupt psykers. -1 to wound on psyker models, kind of cool. Not always going to come up, but it is kind of cool and fluffy. His second ability, Zyrat Sorcerer's Barrages, which is a psychic ability. At the end of your movement phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of this model. On a 2 to 3, it suffers a mortal wound. On a 4 to 5, it suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 6, it suffers d6 mortal wounds. It's like a little nuke, isn't he? A thing you could do is deep strike him within 3 in a cluster and try and just dish out mortal wound spam as much as you can. You would be susceptible to a bit of Overwatch. Risky. But it's the end of your movement phase as well. Yeah, so you could probably force your opponent to do Overwatch and then do that. But again, he's cheaper than the Changeling and you can still do the same things for scoring. Plop him in the corners for investigate signals or one of the gambits to get out. Deploy teleport homers behind enemy lines as well. I forgot that with the Changeling. You could pal them up together, just sit them there together. Go on then. We're behind enemy lines, we're scoring points. We're deploying teleport homer. Deal with us. Deal with us while other stuff is controlling the board and taking objectives. And eventually the big guys will get in once they have dealt with your lone operatives because they've done their job. For me, they're high scoring points at low cost. And they are worth their weight in gold. They really, really are. Both of them. If I could tie them for third place, I would. I only picked this one because he's cheaper. That's it. Because you could squeeze him in a bit easier. That is the only reason he's higher, just for the fact that he's slightly cheaper. Personally, it's a toss-up. A toss-up of a coin. You flip a coin. Heads, you Changelings. Tails, Blue Scribes. The only reason I don't play Blue Scribes is because I don't have the model. That's the only reason I don't play it. Avoid Changeling. But now, on the flip side, you now have the Mask of Slaanesh, which is cheaper than Changeling for 5 points. So again, it depends how you book your list. For me, all 3 lone operatives are doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing. They're going to score points. They're not there to kill. That's not what they're there for. They're there to score you points and entice your enemy as close as possible to you, to draw them away, and then you can get your big guys in, and then the big guys are now in the backfield doing what they need to do. Yeah, very, very solid, and he is number 3. At number 2, it is the Demon Prince, the regular Demon Prince. You're obviously going to twig to why I've got him here. So let's go through the data card. Movement 8, toughness 10, nice, nice. He has a 2-up save and a 4-up invuln. So again, 2s, 3s or 4s on your saving throws. 10 wounds. Leadership 6, nice. 3 OC, nothing to sniff your nose at. Again, he'll have the 6 attacks on the Infernal Cannon. Yeah, it's okay, it's fine, it's okay. Dealing with elite infantry, like I said earlier. Regular infantry, like I said with the previous Demon Prince. Not as fast, but he's tougher. Weapons will still be exactly the same. 6 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 8, minus 2 AP, 3 damage. We've got the strike, 14 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, no AP, 1 damage. Okay. Melee stuff is Khorne and Tzeentch's bag, not this guy's, not Slaanesh's or Tzeentch's. Sorry. Not Slinch's. Slinch's. I'm mixing them together now. Tzeentch's bag. So he has the Prince of Darkness aura. While a friendly Legionnaires unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit have the stealth ability. So now he's giving out a -1 to hit ability to everybody. Nice. So that means to shoot that soul grinder with -1 to hit, mate. Because he's small enough to hide. He can hide. And he can give -1 to hit buffs. I think that's awesome. I just think that's awesome. Not as good as the Nurgle, obviously, because you can give him the Endless Gift and all that jazz. Obviously, you can give him the Everstave, you know, for more strength and AP. The lad's having a whale of a time over there. I'm just going to double check the Everstave, because I don't want to get that wrong. I always seem to get that wrong. No, it's not AP, it's strength and range. Yes, of course it is. Strength and range. So the strength and the range can be increased on the Everstave. That's fine. So you can go to strength 7 at 30 inches. Nice. Every inch counts, ladies. Yeah, I prefer the walk-in Demon Prince to the winged Demon Prince for Tzeentch only. Only for Tzeentch. For the others, I prefer the winged because I like getting in your face. And then obviously Unholy Vigor. Once per battle at the start of any phase, this model can use this ability. If it does until the end of the phase, it has a free up and vulnerable save. Now, I'm not saying do this. I'm not saying do this at all. But you could have him off the board. Rapid Ingress. You'd need 2 CP for this. Rapid Ingress and Deep Strike within 3. And then... and then when it gets to the shooting phase, you go Unholy Vigor. And they're gonna, and you put them in a position like around everything where we're gonna target him. Free up invuln. This will only work against shooty-ish armies. Melee, you might have to wing it. You might have to analyze and see what's going to be charging into you. That's what I'm saying. This is risky business, but it sounds fun, right? So you spent 2 TP to rapid ingress on their turn, drop within 3, and go Unholy Vigor in the shooting phase. Shoot me. Go on in. 2 up or a 3 up save, depending. Right. Then they're going to charge you, and then you get to fight back against something. And then when it's your turn, you can still shoot because you're a monster. You can still shoot. And then you get to fight. I just think that's cool. I just love that idea. I think it is nuts. Yeah, I do like him, and he obviously they're quite resilient. And 200 points. People say they're overcosted. Depends how you're using them and how you're taking them. I like them. I do like the Demon Princes. I do think they're undervalued and they don't get picked enough, because obviously we're playing Monster Mash at the moment, and that is the meta and where we are at the moment. But there is cases for Demon Princes out there. I mean, I've done a Demon Prince list on the channel, and it is a fun list, right? And then go, well, it's not competitive, so you can still win games with it. You're going to lose games with it, like any list. Right, but just because it's not the meta and it's not what the pros are playing at tournaments doesn't mean it's not fun, and doesn't mean it's not going to win you games. It's not at all. Yeah, they need more love, and I think they are good enough. They are good enough to carry your army in certain aspects and areas, depending on the roles you want them to play. So the Demon Prince of Chaos is number 2. Number 1 is coming next. And finally, at number 1, who else could it be? It's the Lord of Change. Again, I'm going to split a lot of you here. Some of you could put the Lone Operative up there. Some of you could put the Soul Grinder up here. Some of you could put anything up here. The Horrors, Flamers, Screamers, whatever. It depends what's on your meta and how you play and what you do. For me, he's number 1. He's number 1. We'll go through the data card. Movement 12. Toughness 10. 6 up save. 4 up invuln. 18 wounds, leadership 6+, and 5 OC. Again, good for contesting objectives. He can be equipped with a Rod of Sorcery, which is a 12-inch range, 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 8, -1 AP, D3 damage. Let's get rid of that infantry. Let's get rid of it. Delete us. Delete us. Then he has the Bolt of Change, which you can choose to have Witchfire or Focus Witchfire. So the regular one is 18 inches, 9 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 9, -1 AP, 1 damage. So potentially you're hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s. They'll have a 4-up save unless they've got cover. 1 damage. Could be chipping again a couple of models away. Or you go the focused, which is hazardous. Same range and attacks and ballistic skill and strength, but it's -2 AP, D3 damage. Ooh, more of a chance to delete us. Delete us. Yeah, man, he's clearing squads. He's clearing little infantry squads, like little peasants, and like, get away from me. Shoo. You could put him into things like Terminators, Aggressors, Inceptors. I'm using Space Marines as an example because everybody knows who they are. Yeah, and he's potus. It's because I'm saying deleters. Potent shooting. And then his weapons, you could equip him with the Baleful Sword if you wish to get some extra attacks. So that's 3 extra attacks, hitting on 3, strength 7, -2 AP, 3 damage. It's not bad, is it, really? That's not bad. And his regular Staff of Tzeentch, sorry, I got something in my eye. And his regular Staff of Tzeentch, 5 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 6, -1 AP, 3 damage again. Flat 3 damage is nice. Don't get why the regular attacks are -1 AP. Feel it should be the other way around, but it's not. I find that kind of odd. But yeah, he can go into elite infantry if needed and do what he needs to do there. So he's not terrible at that. He can kind of hold his own if needed. Let's run into his abilities. So Demon, Lord of Tzeentch Aura. It already sounds awesome already, doesn't it? While a friendly Tzeentch unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, add 1 to the strength characteristic of that attack. And he benefits from his own aura. So now the strength goes up by 1. On his Rod of Sorcery, it's now strength 9. His Bolt of Change is now strength 10. Awesome. It's what you want. And it's going to coincide with the Everstave, which you are going to put on this guy. To give you extra range. So now it's at 21 inches if you're not in the Shadow of Chaos, and an extra strength. He's strength 11. If you're in the Shadow of Chaos, you're strength 12. Nice. Strength 12. So now you can go into vehicles if excuse me. Now you can go to vehicles if needed. Sorry. And then his other ability is Master of Magics, which is a psychic ability. So in your shooting phase, you can select one of the following: ignores cover, lethal hits, or sustained hits D3. I recommend that one. Until the end of the phase, this model's Bolt of Change has that ability. I like it, so you can change relevant to whatever you're going up against. So if something does have higher toughness, I'll put lethal hits on so it's automatically wounded. Yeah, you know, it's handy. With the enhancement, he's 260 points. It's a no-brainer. You've got to have him in your lists. Solid choice, and rightly so, to be top of my ranking at number 1. And you easily, I say easily, in terms of shooting, him and Chariots, very, very good shooting. The other stuff just scores better. But he is number 1 for me. He is number 1. When I build a Tzeentch list, he's my first pick. And then I'll pick something that he can benefit, and then it will be scoring stuff. Yeah. That is the end of the video. That is the ranking of 1 to 16. It is there on the screen. You can see now where and who and why they are there. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, please like and subscribe. If you like this little ranking rather than the tier system, please give me in a comment below what you'd prefer, if you'd prefer it as a tier list rather than a rank list. And do you want to see other gods? Do you want to see me do the same for Khorne, Slaanesh and Nurgle? Because that is something I want to do in the works, but I want to see how this performs first before I do go into that, because I might just need to do a tier list. I do have a quarter of a tier list on the channel. I'm going to look at redoing that, but with a guest potentially, and we're going to do the whole index. We're just going to whack it out in one go. Maybe on a live, or maybe on a recording, I'm not sure. So look out for that, that's something in the works. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Signing off.